Hi, welcome to another episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again. I am Sumit Agarwal. I am the DEI ambassador and LinkedIn top voice for DEI. Today, Make Calcutta Relevant Again presents Heroes of Diversity, where we discuss about diverse people, diverse entrepreneurs who bring their talent and diversity to the table so that Calcutta is not only relevant but also diverse as a state and all the voices are heard. My guest today is Saaket Tharad, who has made his own social media agency and is an acclaimed entrepreneur. So, Saket, can you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Saaket Tharad and I am the founder of Go Connect. It's a digital marketing agency that I am building from last 4 years now. And it was great. It will be a great pleasure for me to share the complete journey and insights from it today. So thanks for having me here today.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Saket. Saket, before I start, I want to know a little more about your life. You told me that you have suffered 20 years of isolation before you started venturing out, attending different meetings, and networking with people. Can you share a bit more about your life, about the condition that you suffer from, and how you overcame it? And how was the 20 years? And what made you come out of the isolation?
Okay. So basically, if you will say I am a Gen Z, like I born in year 2000, on the new generation part. And in 2024, basically after a 4 years period, I was diagnosed with a disease called muscular dystrophy. It is a disease that is actually within you from the time of birth, but it actually takes time to get visible and get recognized in yourself. So in 2024, after some symptoms we had tested, we have done some required tests, and in that basically the muscular dystrophy get diagnosed. And it is basically a disease that weakens your muscles over time, and it actually gets you on a wheelchair after a few years. So that was the time, that was the most hardest time, if I will say, because in 1 to 2 years, by the time I turned 6 to 7 years old, I was not able to walk and I was in a wheelchair. And our family condition was not very good that time, so we are basically living in a building that was, our flat was in the third floor and there was no elevator or anything. So getting outside of the home is absolutely impossible that time. So it was actually, so I had to leave the school, drop out of my schools as well because of that. So I haven't been able to continue my schooling. And basically, if I will say, during that time the life was going completely flat, if I would say, because what is happening that I was just doing time pass, playing games or playing at home, whatever I can do. And beside that, there was nothing else to do, because even the doctors have been told that you shouldn't send him to school because it will actually lead to more mental issues to him by seeing other students. So, and it was not possible as well during that time. So over time I cope up with it, because as a child you don't understand what is actually happening. That time what I was actually thinking, that I don't having to study, I am just playing and no one else is actually telling me to do anything. So that was a thing that as a child I was really happy.
And you
That
liked it.
yes, I was really liking it, that I am not having to study and all of this. But gradually as you grow and gradually as you become old, by the time of 2020, 2020, 14, 2014, 2015 around, I was actually starting understanding things a bit more. So that time I thought, no, if I have to basically get recognized and get the if I would say respect that I deserve, I have to do something of my own. So I was continuously finding around that what I can do. I have tried my hands on multiple things, around 10 to 15 things I would say, but nothing was actually working out. So that time actually I was a bit quite depressed. So in 2000, around 2018, what was happened actually, I that time there was a boom of digital marketing in the complete
Yes.
country, because in 2016 around Geo came into existence, and that time a lot of internet users started to grow in India. So digital marketing has started becoming more contemporary, and all brands and everyone is started getting on the internet. So that time I thought that I should try this as well. So I have what I have done. I have started approaching few companies, but that time I because I didn't have anything to show to them, I was not getting any conversions. I was not getting any clients. I have kept trying that till 2019-20, but I haven't got any results. So that time I basically thought that let's create a profile. I have created my own Instagram profile that time around 2019-20, and I have started creating content on it. So whatever I was learning, I was actually posting on my Instagram profile. I didn't had the intention basically to grow the profiles. I didn't know that actually we can grow on Instagram that organically, that much organically. So I was actually creating content continuously on it so I can show to other people and brands that I have this knowledge and all this content are created by me only. So I was actually doing that, and gradually what happened around 2022, if I say, for around 2 years, I have created content continuously for 2 years without any skip. 2 years, around 700 days, 700 content I have created. So I that consistency I have maintained. And in 2022, what happened, one of the content creators who had a very good following on Instagram in this category was interested in collaborating with us on our profile. So I have done the collaboration with them. They had around 2 lakh followers on Instagram, and I had around 1500 followers that time. So because of that collaboration, what happened, multiple content of our become viral overnight on Instagram. And from 1500 followers, my profile rose to around 15K followers in just 1 month. And that was the time basically when I started getting a lot of leads, queries, a lot of people on social media. So I have started working with them. I have got a few conversions. I was happy. But I was seeing that gap somewhere, that I am not actually able to get that recognition that I should get, and I was not able to network with brands. I am not able to bring that personality because I was not talking to anyone from around 20 years. Like, if I will say, only my parents and my sister was knowing my name and taking in my name, and no one else was actually aware who is Shaket. So that was the thinking that I have to build this. In 2022, what happened around September, there was a event that was happening at the Hyatt Hotel. That event was basically conducted by a certain networking platform, and that time the front page of the Telegraph has got the advertisement of that particular event. So my mom told me to attend that event, because if she basically told that as you have basically finalized that you want to do this only, you have to basically start approaching more people and you have to talk to more people. So I have attended that event, and once I have attended that complete there was completely a new that was a completely new thing for me. Like, if I will say, around all people are actually networking, talking to each other, and it was completely new thing for me. So
Yeah.
I was very shy. I haven't talked to anyone in 20 years, and suddenly around 300 people around talking to each other. So it was completely different thing for me. So I have started finding a corner where I can basically hide and no one else will come to me to talk. I was finding a corner in the whole
Okay.
banquet. So that was the thing. But initially, I have attended that event from morning till night, and by the time of evening, I was bit comfortable, if I will say, compared to
Yeah.
what I was in the morning. Because when I have entered the hall in morning, I was actually shivering. That was the condition actually. But gradually I have seen that yes, I can actually do it if I will get more used to it. These things I will get more used to talking to people, networking with people as well. So this is how the journey has been started, because after that I have started attending more events. I have made a lot of friends in the community. I have received that acceptance as well, and have received a lot of good clients, good friends as well.
So, as you said, this has been a journey for you. When when we look at acquiring clients, there's a lot of bias, right? That he's a person with a disability. Will he be able to deliver on time or not? You are a person with a disability and also an entrepreneur, right? And how did you think that you want to be an entrepreneur? Because a lot of people find it tough to be entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs with disabilities are the rare breed, right? They are sort of endangered species. They are the extinct species, near extinct species, if I might call it. But how did it come to your mind that I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to help people grow on social media? And more importantly, you only hire people with disabilities at your company Go Connect, right? How do you think that model is working out? Because a lot of times people have a lot of bias that if you are a person with a disability, you will not be able to perform. So you have broken that stereotype by keeping only people with disabilities at your organization, right? Does it affect the performance, or how do you break that stereotype? Okay, we can also deliver.
Okay, so first I will answer the first question. What is happening here? That a mistake is not in our community. What is happening over there? That they are not seeing people with disability or someone with a bit different on everyday basis. It is something rare for them, so they don't know that how they should approach them to talk, or how they should network with them. So it's a lack of actually awareness. It's not their mistake. So if this thing will become more common for them, it will not be that much difficult. So what that happened in our ecosystem when I entered, a lot of people are actually hesitating to actually talk. But what happening over time, as I kept meeting them, networking with them, so they got more familiar that you can talk with him as any other person. So this is something that was actually new for them, but as they have seen me over time, almost every day we were meeting, so that become more casual for them. This is something we have to make them more casual with people with disabilities. That is actually the matter that we need to look at. It's not their mistake that if they are actually looking that they will able to deliver or not. And the second question, as you have asked about hiring the people with disability, I will tell you a recent incident about it. What had happened that in last year around November, I was speaking on an event that was happening at Dhunudhani auditorium. So was I have spoken over around 2000 people was in the hall. So after my speak, basically a man have approached me, and he basically told that his brother have a condition where he cannot speak. Actually, he have speaking issues where he cannot speak, and because of that he have done SEO course from a very renowned institution in India. But during the time of placement, he was rejected from all of the companies to get hired. So so he completely told me the complete story, and what I have done, I have approached his brother directly through in WhatsApp chat, because he cannot speak actually. So I have approached his brother and I have seen some of his work and given him the first project. So that project basically was a very challenging product, if I would say, because I was quite sure that this client is not going to retain with us for a longer period, because it's been around 3 to 4 months, and that website was not getting ranked on Google. So I was quite sure that this client will not continue. So I have given that project to him for a month. And actually, in just 1 month, he ranked that website. And I was very surprised about it. So I have hired him directly on my company as a full time, and now he is the best SEO guy in our whole team. So this is something, if I would say, it's not his loss or my loss. Who's actually in loss here? That company who rejected him. Actually, that company is in loss because he was ready to work it in a very minimal salary, if I would say. Because if that kind the quality of SEO he is doing currently in the industry, anyone will easily charge around 2 lakh rupees a month in industry, but he is doing at a really affordable cost. So it's actually the loss of that company who rejected him. So that is actually the thing. We actually not look that we are hiring a people with disability or anything. We are just hiring talent, and we are not looking toward that person's ability or disability or whatever the people is having. Like he have issues while speaking, so I have basically streamlined the process to make the communication easier. So that way, because I am getting benefit, so it's actually the thing that I should do, because if for that I have got a lot of referrals, a lot of people are actually coming to us for SEO only. So that is a thing that every agency or every company need to look.
So, from your story, it is evident that performance is not the issue. The bias is the issue where people are not getting hired, but they're being judged based on their appearances or their inabilities, if I might put it that way. What is your suggestion to companies or HRs who, have to look at 400 CVs and talk to interview who 400 people, bigger companies where, they employ thousands of people, and they just judge people in 30 seconds and say that, okay, you won't be able to perform because you are a person with a disability.
Yeah. So basically, if you will say when they are taking interview of a person with disability, usually their way of talking could be different, their way of responding could be different, or the way they are basically entering the hall could be different. So these are few things that a company actually looking when they are taking interview. Instead of that, if they will actually look towards what they are actually answering when they are asking them the question, or what are the results they are delivering when they are actually to our existing, they are doing any freelancing project, or either they are doing any internship, previous internship in any other company, they can definitely approach him in that way. They can definitely look what they have done in past, and based on that you can basically give him a try na. It's not that we are telling you to keep us in your quota and work with us for another 5 years, 10 years, and you will not be able to fire us like any other of your employee if they don't deliver. You are completely open to shift to someone else if you are not getting the results, but actually you can try someone, try give them a try na.
So when I look at companies in the US and Europe, they are much more open to hiring people with disabilities. But in India, it has been a start for the last few years, and people are actually talking about diversity and inclusion. A lot of Fortune 500 companies have targets that 5% of our workforce in India have to be people with disabilities, 4% has to be people with disabilities, but they are not getting the talent or the pipeline. They're not able to identify the right talents or the right people, because most of the people from the Indian population stay in rural areas where the number of people with disabilities in India are more in the rural areas where they do not have access to the right set of skills and education. What do you think would bring India to a equal level of, hiring and recruitment and getting rid of the biases when it comes to a country like India, which has diverse cultures, um, diverse in geographical areas, and diversity of thought?
Yeah. So one of the most major issue here is when it comes to hiring a talent at the moment, the mainly if you will say the if you are hiring someone at the moment, their age would be around 20 to 25 minimum, if I would say. So in that category they have must born in the year 2000 or before that. So if you will say during the year of 2000 to around, if I will say 2010 and 2015, the situation of our infrastructure for people with disabilities in India was at its lowest, if I would say, because most of the infrastructure, or if I will say mindset, was not open. The infrastructure was not enough to cater people with disabilities. So you cannot expect that you will hire a talent and that talent will have equal qualification than compared to any other candidate, because education was not easy for them that time. Most of the people with disability, if you will see in the ecosystem, will either homeschooled during that time, or either they had to drop out. That was a major concern. So we have to streamline a process where we can basically look at the talent. We can have certain exam, or we can definitely have a streamlined process where you can basically judge someone's talent and the results they are delivering, either looking at deciding based on their CV.
Okay. What do you think about accessibility when you compare India to the European countries? Or maybe you can say that India has a large population and Europe doesn't need to deal with such a large population and, such a large different categories of people with disabilities. But do you think India can be, at par with Europe or US when it comes to accessibility for people with disabilities?
So I think making accessible places, population shouldn't be an issue there, because what is happening here, that if we have more population, there are more minds, more ideas. So obviously those people can come up with ideas that we need to make this place accessible, or there is a government law that we have to make this place accessible. So the population shouldn't be an issue. The main issue is that we have a very old infrastructure. That infrastructure actually is not capable to make that place accessible. So we what we can basically do, we can basically do the audit. Government or other organizations can place some teams, or can do a streamlined process where we can audit the places and find the ways we can make them accessible. And if there is certain places that cannot be made accessible, we cannot do anything in that, because that infrastructure is very old and you cannot change it overnight. So we can have like we have a Google map, or we have we have internet. So there are a lot of resources where people with disabilities can check that place is accessible or not before going over there. So this is something that we can make life easier, we can make things more streamlined, because we cannot expect that 100% of the places will get accessible in few years. It will actually take minimum 50 years in India, because build if you will name even Kolkata, if you are going to the north side, most of the buildings or infrastructure is made almost 100 years back, almost 50 to 100 years back. So that place you cannot make accessible overnight. There are few places you can make, but not all of them.
So that becomes a challenge because that time it wasn't designed by that thought process, right?
Correct.
Even if I talk about accessibility in India, right, there are 21 types of disabilities and everybody has their own different set of requirements, right? When it comes to employment, when it comes to entrepreneurship, and everything else as well. So, what is your thought on the future of diversity, equity, and inclusion in respect to people with disabilities in India? Given that there are 21 types of disabilities now, and we consider invisible disabilities to be a part of disability as well now.
Actually, I see that things are improving now, because previously we don't used to see a lot of people actually from getting outside of their homes, people with disabilities getting outside of their homes. But if I will say other cities, if I will say Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, etc., a lot of people are, even Kolkata, you can see a lot of people are actually going outside, a lot of people are actually doing their work. So now we can actually see that. And if I would say, recently I was talking to a company that was into manufacturing wheelchairs, active wheelchairs. And those wheelchairs are mostly used by people of around 25 to 40 years of age. So those wheelchairs I haven't bought by our senior citizens or either old people. They are mostly bought by the people with disabilities. And they were telling that the buyers of these wheelchairs have increased by 300x in last 2 years. So this means that people are actually buying those wheelchairs that can help them to go outside and do their daily work on their own. So things are improving. As people will see that more people are going outside, they will actually start making that infrastructure and finding that need of the hour. Because if I will name a story of our, even in my society, I was living in that society from now almost 15 years, and there was a couple of stairs. When basically we enter the main door, there was couple of stairs. So what was happening, that the stairs was actually from the beginning itself. So no one is actually telling. So I used to go outside of my home in around 2 or 3 months, almost 4 years back. So what was happening that time, we used to just pick up the wheelchair, and two people had to help to get out the wheelchair, and no one was looking towards making that place accessible, because it has been used for around, that I was getting outside for around 2 3 months only. But now, as they have seen that I am going outside almost every day for the work, basically the security of our society have approached the department and told that we need to make this place accessible. And on their own expense, the society has made that entrance accessible and installed a ramp, because they seen that need arised now. and we hadn't to have to approach them. We didn't had tell them to install a ramp over there or anything. They had done it on their own. So people will actually get used to it, just we need to get more visible.
So the awareness and visibility has to be there.
Yes.
Speaking about awareness and visibility, there are a lot of influencers on Instagram, and influencer marketing is become the new trend, right? But I don't get to see a lot of people with disabilities become influencers on Instagram or have that large following, so as to say. When I look at Europe or US, there are a lot of influencers with disabilities, but
Yes.
why don't we see it in India? You have been on Instagram or on LinkedIn for such a long time. Why don't we see more people with disabilities?
So it's the case, like if I will say I have 40K followers, 40K plus followers on Instagram. But if you will name the other industry in India, the influencer thing is very glamorized.
Yeah.
If you will say, even if an influencer have around fashion influencer around 15K 20K followers, they are getting likes in around 20,000 likes, 50,000 likes in all of their posts. And when it comes to a educational content creator, even a content creator with millions of likes getting around 5,000 likes. So
Yes.
this is an issue. The place is actually very glamorized. People are actually wanting to see a very good side, because after having a hectic day, they come to Instagram and they usually want to see entertainment or either good things. They are traveling, food, and all of these things. They are not actually looking to get into educational content, consume educational content, or anything that is actually motivational also. They usually used to see the fashion or these
Because
kind of
most of the
category
content
also.
that I find for people with disabilities are bichara types, and
Absolutely.
they're giving some money to people with disabilities, and he's able to buy a house, buy a car, and then that person becomes happy that look, I helped somebody. That becomes a charity case. So why do you think people look at people with disabilities as just a charity case and not somebody who brings value to the table?
So if I would say, if a person with disability in India, if starts creating content around food vlogging, food vlogger, he becomes a food vlogger. So the first thing that a person, when he will land to, he or she will land to his profile, the first thing they will see is their wheelchair or anything kind of disability they have. They will not see the kind of food or restaurants they are covering like any other influencer. So that is the main thing. So once you are basically see that first thing and build that kind of a mindset, you will see that profile as a charitable thing. Like if I am following this profile, I am not following this to get educated about the food industry. I am following this to support him or her. So this is something that have to be changed. This mindset have to change.
And what do you think are the steps to increase DEI awareness and change this mindset in India?
So I think increase in visibility could help a lot, because people will get more used to it. But beside that, if I would say that in India, the this kind of a mindset has been built since last 70 years, since our independence. So I cannot see that it could change overnight. It will take some time, and that time would, if I will say, around 40 to 50 years time, if I would say, because
Okay.
this cannot change normally, because it has been built in your inside mind. If I say, I am our mind is actually divided into four portions, and if something is planted to it since childhood, it's not easy to change it overnight.
So you think the change is going to happen gradually, but it'll surely happen. So my question to you is: a lot of people again want to become entrepreneurs. People with disabilities want to become entrepreneurs. What is your message to them?
So my message will be to them, for them as well as their parents, if I would say. Because the first thing that you will want, you as a person with disability, you want that your parents should tell you that you can do it, and we are backing you, that we are behind you. If anything would be required, we are here to help you with that. So in that case, because a person with disability, the main questions when they think of entrepreneurship will be how I will talk to new people, how I will cater them, how I will reach to the office, how I will do the meetings. These are the most common questions they have in their mind. So if they pencil that we are actually here to help you, that if a person with disability should see that yes, my parents are actually backing me, so I should give it a try actually. So if you are giving it a try for 1 to 2 years, over time you will start liking it and you will start actually putting more efforts. And you don't need to see that I want to become a like the top in the city and in India. Start with small targets and gradually you will see that improvement happening over time. It will not only, and by will when you will starting, always keep in mind that if you will grow, only you will not grow like any other entrepreneur. That if any other entrepreneur grow, only that entrepreneur get the benefit of it. But in this category, if you will grow, a whole community will grow with you. This is the thing that you need to keep in mind.
Very well said, Saket. I think parents are the foundation of people's lives, and
Absolutely.
the hearts that you touch along the journey matters the most. Thank you for being a part of MCRA. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much.
So, as you heard from Saket, that people with disabilities can do a lot of things. You just need to have that mindset, that grit, and that resilience. Thank you for watching this episode. Stay tuned for such wonderful episodes in the future.